Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kristen. And let's continue this conversation with Congressman Mike Quigley. He's a Democrat from Illinois and co-chair of the Congressional Ukraine Caucus. Thanks for coming on, Congressman. So first off, your reaction to President Trump providing these Patriot missile systems through NATO allies?
Look, I'm pleased to hear it. I'm disappointed in the president making this transactional as if we're only doing it because we're getting paid. Look, experts like General Milley, Secretary Austin have told us this isn't just a moral decision, it's a strategic one. It has to do with our security as well. All the reasons we fought the Second World War to keep a sovereign democratic country from being wiped off the face of the earth. But I welcome this, and I believe it should be only part of the plan here. At least two other things need to happen. You know, we need to seize the Russian assets in the U.S., somewhere between $5 and $8 billion. The Europeans need to seize those Russian assets, around $300 billion, for the war effort, but also to rebuild Ukraine. And finally, we need to pass this bipartisan sanctions bill. It should happen this week.
I'm going to get to that bill in just a moment, but just to follow up with you with this arrangement with the Patriot missiles, what do you think? How do you think that will affect the dynamic right now with Russia? Do you think it will provoke Russian leader Vladimir Putin and his allies?
We've been talking about provoking Putin for so long, even during the Biden administration, right? It was always Putin's red line. At some point in time, we have to ask what our red line is, and it has to do with our national security and who we are as a country. And frankly, those Patriot missiles can only be part of it. They do talk about long-range capabilities. Frankly, the best defense is a good offense, as clearly Putin is just stalling because a war of attrition works in his favor.
All right, so let's talk about that Senate bill that would slap these punishing new sanctions on countries who do business with Russia. Specifically, countries that buy oil, gas, uranium from Russia could face 500% tariffs on exports sent to the U.S. It has overwhelming bipartisan support in the Senate, 85 co-sponsors. You have sponsored a similar sanctions bill in the House. Do you expect Congress to have something on the president's desk by August recess? What's your expectation?
Look, if given that opportunity, absolutely, it would overwhelmingly pass in the Senate. Since when does something have 85 co-sponsors in the Senate? And then, you know, the Republican leaders like Mr. Fitzpatrick, who's been a strong proponent of that on the Republican side, it'll get, I think, almost half of the Republicans and all the Democrats. So this would sail through and get to the president's desk. But two things concern me. The fact that they, despite having overwhelming support, they're still waiting for what? A signal from the president to go ahead? And the fact that he has the ultimate waiver here. This is still a president, mercurial as he is, who could change his mind next week. This is a president who's never said who he wants to win this war. He's paused aid more than once. He's criticized Zelensky. He's said that they started the war. So can you count on him? Absolutely not. So this should happen. It could happen. The fact that they're waiting for President Trump to give them a go-ahead just reminds us that they've given up their congressional authority.
The president has been vocal lately about his frustration and disappointment in Putin. What do you make of his shift in tone towards Russia right now?
Yeah, look, forgive me, in my president's first term, the president trusted Putin over his own intel community. He has never criticized him. And Glorioski, he finally starts to question him. He wrote recently, it makes me think maybe he doesn't want to stop the war. And then recently writing that he's disappointed. He's disappointed in a bloody tyrant. You know, the fact that it's taken this long is what's extraordinary and frankly scary.
And we know we're waiting to hear from President Trump to make a major statement, from, as the White House says, on Russia. He's meeting with NATO Secretary General. What are you hoping to hear?
You know, I'm hoping to hear that this is going to be an extensive package and it's going to be ongoing, and that the president needs to determine that this is in our national interest and talk about that. Look, I'd love to hear him say for the first time that Ukraine needs to win this war. And it's because it's the right thing to do, and it's the right thing to do for our own safety. Do I expect most of that? No, but I'll be just thrilled that something's going through to send a message to Putin and to help protect Ukraine and, frankly, Europe and the United States.
All right, Congressman Quigley, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.